Hey, welcome back to Smoky Ribs. I'm Russ Jones. It is that turkey time of the year, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm doing something a little bit out of the box, something that you probably have never even heard of, because I know I haven't. I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? Let me look and see if anybody's thought of this. I found one video, little small channel that did something similar to that, and but they didn't call it apple pie turkey, and that's what I'm doing today is an apple pie turkey with apple pie seasonings. It's a barbecue rub. Be showing you that here momentarily. We're gonna get started right after this.
If you wanna cook backyard barbecue till you get your feel, you come to the right place. Russ Jones Smoky Ribs. Smoky Ribs. Smoky Ribs.
All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is get my smoker up and going, get it leveled out. I'm using my drum smoker. We will be doing this on the drum smoker today because it loves to run temps around 275 to 300 fairly easily. And that's where I wanna cook this turkey is at 300 degrees. Sometimes I go hotter with a turkey if it's smaller. This is a little bit bigger turkey, it's 14 pounds. So I wanna lower those temperatures to where the inside of the dark meat, where all the collagen, connective tissue, and things like that has time to really break down. And that has everything to do why you would normally bring your legs and thighs up to around 180, 185 even, because first off, there's more fat, it's more forgiving, but it really breaks down that collagen to where it's tender and it pulls right off the bone. And the problem a lot of people have is overshooting the temperature of their breast to get that thigh up to about 180. 175 to 180, then a lot of times your turkey breast has gotten over 165. That's like the max temperature you want to go with that. So we're going to run at 300, and we should have a good balance there to where everything is cooking like it should. The breast is a big mass, so a lot of times it cooks behind the thighs and the legs. So hopefully that's what we're going to experience today. And I'll explain to you here in just a minute how I brown the turkey, but for right now, let's get this charcoal. And by the way, this is left over from my last cook. All right, we're just gonna lower this all the way in the bottom. Just like that. For a little smoke flavor, I'm adding in some apple wood chunks. Gonna be utilizing the diffuser plate today. Gonna put my lower rack in. All right, now I'm going to get a drip pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to that to add some humidity to this pit. I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on right this moment. We're gonna run this about halfway open. We're just gonna start with these cracked about that right there on both sides. All right, I'm gonna remove this turkey from the brine, and we're going to dry this thing really good with some paper towels. Normally, the best way to do that would be take it and dry it off somewhat, put it on a wire rack with something like that under it, and then you could just leave it in the refrigerator overnight, and that really helps dry that skin out. I don't have the liberty to do that today, so we're just gonna have to dry it as best as we can with paper towels. All right, hold your turkey over the briner bucket and let as much of that water go back into the bucket as possible. It'd be that much less. We gotta try to dry up. Oh boy, I'm smelling apple pie. I have a feeling, and I'll be honest with you, it took me a little while to wrap my head around a turkey that tastes, you know, with apple pie flavors. But that's what it is. And this rub is made for pork and ham and turkey. And I could, you know, after I got to think about it, I said, you know what, I bet that's really good, almost like a dessert turkey. So we're gonna see. And I got the turkey stuff all over me. I'll show you the seasoning here in a moment. So just blot it as dry as you can. And while I'm drying this, I'm going to talk about the brine I did last night. I took 1/2 gallon of water and I put it on a stove, started my fire. Into that, I added 1.5 cups of salt. I just used plain table salt. And also added 2 cups of brown sugar. And I also took the PS seasoning, I got it right here, the homemade apple pie seasoning, and I added 3 ounces of that into the 1/2 gallon, and I brought that up to a simmer, got everything really well diluted to where all the salts and everything had dissolved, and from there I poured that into 2 gallons of cool water, poured that in, stirred it up real well, dropped my turkey in. Now the turkey was still partially frozen. It still had ice crystals inside and on the outside. So I put the lid on that and I let it go for 2 hours because I knew that ice inside this bird would get that water good and cold. At the end of 2 hours, that's when I added these freeze packs. I put about 5 of those in there, and that held it cold, ice cold all night long until right now. So once again, this is the seasoning. This is an apple pie barbecue rub made by PS Seasonings. And I've got about 3.5 ounces left. So we're gonna take these Granny Smith apples. And I've got some dogs back there just raising heck. Gonna mix some of this seasoning in with them. And there's the first fly. I spoke too soon. I just said I hadn't seen any flies today. All right, so I've got to reserve enough of this to do a apple pie glaze at the end of this, which is basically just going to be honey and this seasoning, maybe a little bit of butter. Hadn't decided fully on that part yet. That's looking pretty good. So we're just going to take these, stuff them all the way in this cavity. These apples is going to induce moisture into this turkey, plus it's going to add even more of this apple pie flavor, the seasoning. All right, I'm gonna try to poke as many of these apples in here as possible, which I think I'm just about there because they will soften up. But another thing that's going to do is going to help prevent that breast from cooking too fast, even though the heat surrounding it on the inside, it's adding that mass, so it's going to slow down the cooking so these thighs and big turkey legs have a chance to get to where they need to be as well. Oh, one more thing I meant to say was, you know, I am putting this glaze on here, so therefore we're not shooting for a really crispy skin because the glaze will undo any crispiness. But what I do want, and this only comes from cooking longer, you know, the longer you cook, the better that skin gets, to where you get what they call a good bite through, to where you hardly even know it's there. It's real thin and just bites through. It's not rubbery, there's no tug. And you've had experience that yourself, I know, with barbecue chicken, where you put the barbecue sauce right on the skin. Same thing, long cooks like that, and that's how you achieve that. So any comments on crispy skin, not gonna have it, gonna tell you that going into it, and don't want it. I want that good bite through, and I want that really good glaze. All right, let's remove our lid. We got a nice smoke coming out. All right, I did fold the wings in behind the bird to stop them from getting burnt, just hanging out there like that. We're gonna go in the deepest part of this breast. All right, so I'll probably take a peek at it in about an hour just to see how it's doing. And we'll be monitoring temperatures and we'll go from there. We have been going just about 3 hours and 30 minutes. My internal temperature in that one breast is showing 153. Now the problem I encountered, and I didn't really realize it at first, but the lid was touching the top part of this turkey. And as you can see, it left a little mark right there. So I went ahead and left it like that. The turkey shrank some and no longer hitting the lid. But at about 145 degrees internal, I went ahead and removed the water pan and lowered this down to the center grate to get some nice color. I wasn't getting the color I wanted. So I'm not gonna leave this lid off very long because this will spike in temperature. But that's the way it's looking. It's looking good. This is my glaze. I'm just keeping that warmed on this lid, and all that is 3/4 cup honey and 1 tablespoon of the PS Seasoning Apple Pie Barbecue Rub. And it smells like heaven, is what my wife just said. So we will see. Once I get up to about 155, I don't know, maybe between 155 and 160, I'm going to glaze it. I'm just going to leave it where it's at, and I'm still running around 300 degrees. So it's doing good. This is probably going to end up being about a 4, maybe 4.5 hour cook, but it's looking really good. Hang it right here. Oh, that's looking good. All right, let's go into breast, see what we're reading with the instant read. That's showing about 156, so I'm a few degrees out there. That's actually showing about 164, but I'm gonna go ahead and glaze it while we got it open. Now there's a lot of sugar in this glaze. Matter of fact, it's just about all sugar. So we got to really watch it. Make sure this doesn't burn on us. Yeah, man, these things will heat up on you in a hurry, these drum smokers, if you leave them open for any amount of time. So that's just putting a really thin coat on there. I'm gonna leave it right there. Let's go ahead and get this lid back on. All right, now I know it's on spike in temperature, so I'm not gonna open these bottom vents very wide. I'm gonna close that down about halfway. All right, I'll bring you back once this thing is done, and I'll probably have it over here on the cutting board. Oh boy, ain't she a beauty. Now that's that mark that I made with the lid. I didn't even consider that this would be too tall for that gateway. Now what I would do in the future is just cook this on the bottom rack, or if I was going to use top rack, I would spatchcock this to where it would sit down. Now it did shrink in time and it was clearing it, but it was so close it wasn't really brown. That's the reason I dropped it down. So hey, let's cut into this and see how we done. I temped out good. I'm running about 185 in the dark meat and the thighs and 165 in the breast. I've let it rest. And so let's just see how we done and see how this tastes. Ooh, it's cutting really good. Oh man, yeah. Ooh, yeah, it's still piping hot. Oh, it smells fantastic. Nice and moist. It's not flooding, but believe me, the meat is nice and moist. There's nothing dry about that. Let's give this a try. Try that. It's hot. So let's try a little bit of this leg meat right here, the dark meat, and see how that did. Oh. That's a really good seasoning for a turkey. It's a really good season for the brine. Something a little different. And like I said, don't be scared to use that because you're thinking it won't pair well with turkey. Trust me, it pairs very well with turkey. This would be killer on ribs, a ham, like with a ham, glazed ham. Fantastic. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you another idea. I'm a little late posting this. I really should have done it a week ago because Turkey Day is only, what, 3 days away from the day well, actually, it's only probably 1 day away from when this airs. So, but you know, you'll have it for future reference or whatever. I just wanted to get one out this year. It's the only turkey video I got on my channel so far this year. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Till next time, smoke your ribs.